Good evening. Welcome back to the No Good News. And tonight, I am giving you an opinion first before we go on with the regular broadcast. Why I chose this particular story. I chose this story because when a long-standing leader like Viktor Orban loses power, analysts immediately begin discussing what it means for other leaders around the world. This is the dictator who lost the election after being in power for more than 10 years in Hungary. Astonished everybody. In the United States, commentators have noted that Orban has been viewed as a political ally and ideological parallel to our current president. So when Orban loses, analysts naturally ask whether similar political pressures could emerge here, especially at a time when some reporting suggests that parts of the current president's base, including some MAGA supporters, may be shifting or fracturing. I'm not predicting outcomes. I'm pointing out that political analysts are watching this closely because history shows that when a leader's strongest supporters begin to drift, it can create instability. And instability is always news, even when it isn't good news. So tonight's No Good News story begins in Hungary, a place most Americans don't think about until something goes wrong. And something did. According to CNN's reporting, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, long considered one of Europe's most controversial nationalist leaders, has lost the election after more than a decade in power. The article explains that Orban's defeat came from a newly unified opposition coalition, voter fatigue, and growing frustration with corruption and economic stagnation. But the story doesn't end in Budapest, because when a leader with strong ties to the American president loses power, analysts start asking what that means for us, the United States. CNN's piece describes Orban as a figure who positioned himself as a defender of illiberal democracy, challenging the European Union, restricting press freedoms, and consolidating political control. He was also widely viewed as one of American president's most vocal international supporters. Excuse me. Itchy nose. The article notes that Orban's political style, nationalist, confrontational, and skeptical of Western alliances, often align with the rhetoric coming from Washington. So when a leader like that falls, the ripple doesn't remain in Europe. Political analysts quoted in coverage like CNN's often raise three key points. One, loss of an ideological ally. Orban's defeat removes a foreign leader who publicly supported the American president's worldview. Two, a shift in European dynamics. A more moderate Hungarian government could strengthen the EU's stance on democracy, rule of law, and press freedom. Three, reduce international validation. When a like-minded leader loses power, commentaries sometimes say it weakens the narrative that a particular political model is gaining global momentum. These are interpretations from analysts, not predictions, not endorsements, not my opinions. CNN's reporting does not claim direct consequences for the American president, but it does highlight what observers are discussing. Some commentators say the president loses a symbolic partner on the world stage. Others argue it could isolate the United States politically within Europe. Some believe it may embolden critics who oppose nationalistic or populist movements. And a few analysts suggest it could shift diplomatic dynamics, especially on issues like NATO, Ukraine, and EU relations. Again, these are analysts' interpretations, not factual outcomes. Because no matter where you stand politically, the fall of a long-standing leader creates instability. Hungary faces uncertainty. Europe faces recalibration. The US faces questions about alliances, and the world watches to see what comes next. There is no celebration here, just consequences. And that's why this story belongs in no good news segment, because it's not about who won or lost. It's about what happens when the geopolitical ground shifts under everyone's feet. This is No Good News news story. I'm Elizabeth Caldwell, and tonight's No Good News news stories reminds us that when one domino falls, the table always shakes. Don't believe me? Ask President Eisenhower.